Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, Jai Mata ki Jai Shri Krishna. Happy to Hunny Walia shows. I am your host, Sonal Fool. Today we have Honorable Minister of Mclver with us, who was first elected in Legislative Assembly of Alberta in 2012, then 2015 and 2019. He's serving his third term now. He's a proud husband and a father. Ric served 3 terms on Calgary City Council, beginning his experience as a business owner and a family man. His viewpoint to the council was appreciated and he contributed quite a lot. Ric was appointed as a transportation minister on April 30, 2019, and on April 4, 2021, he became the Municipal Affairs Minister. He has a vast knowledge on transportation too. Welcome, Ric.
It's great to be here. And to your listeners, have happy Navatras, Ramadan Mubarak. It's a pleasure. It's a real honor for me to be here with you, Sonny.
I really appreciate, sir, your greetings on behalf of our viewers. I really wanted to say thank you for giving us your greetings on Happy Navratras and Happy Ramadan. Thanks a lot, sir. Ric, as you mentioned, like we were talking, you have a vast knowledge of transportation. When we talk about the trucking industry, and like when I have spoken to other transporters too, they asked me to ask you this question about related to the permits. Currently, Edmonton, you don't need some permits. Alberta, you need, and every permit need to be applied on individual task or a day basis, and every municipality is separate. And what happened due to the work or corona lack of staff in the office, it get missed. Is it possible, and it's free too, is any possibility as a Minister for Municipal Affairs you can, or any thoughts, or it can be done on a province basis?
If you're talking about permits for truck drivers, yes, we actually have a system set up. The acronym is TRAVIS, TRAVIS. The truck drivers can find it through the Alberta Transportation website. It is for permits. I can't remember what all the words for Travis are, but it's TRAVIS. And actually, it's a place that if you are planning a trip with your truck, that you require permits. And it's one stop, one window, where it will automatically calculate. You can pay for it all in one place, all the permits you need to get through every municipality. And it's done automated, and 100% of it goes to the municipality, so they don't lose any money. So that's why they cooperate with it, because it doesn't cost them anything. Plus, as it saves them labor. And a lot of trucking companies use it now to get their permits because it actually automates the process for them too and makes it faster. So I would say to you, if any of the trucking companies or truck drivers that you're talking to have questions about them, please have them call Alberta Transportation. We'll be happy to show them where the link is, and if they need help getting into it or navigating it, we would be more than happy to do that.
Thank you, Ric. So the question was like, the Travis is used by the truck drivers, but they have to apply for the permit every time. So the question they were requesting, if it's it's possibility it can be done on an annual basis. They don't have to do it on an individual route, individual day or individual task, and individual municipality, if it can be done as a whole Alberta.
I think if that's not the case, then it's something we need to look at. So again, I'll refer them to our ministry to see if we haven't got a shortcut for that. I think it's probably a good way to look for it. What I can say is there's several of the permits in the effort to cut red tape that we've actually eliminated the need for in the last year, mostly because we always said yes. Some of them were just so old they're not really needed anymore, but it was still on the books, so we've taken some of them out. It's just for interest sake, one of the ridiculous ones. I guess there was a reason for it at one time. You had to have a permit if you were hauling eggs. I don't know why. I suppose it might be because a lot of eggs are heavy, and on some roads it was perhaps that was a problem. But so that's one of hundreds, literally hundreds of permits that aren't required anymore. But for the trucking companies or drivers that are concerned about having to book the same permits over and over again, call our office. We'd love to talk to you about that, and maybe we could find a way to automate it or to get a permit that lasts for 6 months or a year or whatever it works out to.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate Rick. And then I really appreciate your initiative or the government's initiative when they have privatized the licensing again. What you think, how is going to take the backlog and what time frame we are looking?
Well, Sonny, here's the thing. I think it's already largely taken away the backlog, at least for class 4, 5, and 6 licenses, which are now at the registry offices. As of a few days ago, we had 14,500 tests available between then and the end of April already. So, and well, you know, that could be as much as 2 weeks away, which some of your, you know, your viewers may say is too long. It's a lot better than the 6 or 8 or 12 weeks it was last year. So I think due to the efforts of the staff in Alberta Transportation and the wonderful efforts of the registry agents in Alberta, the wait time for a driver's exam is way less than it was. And there's an exception of 4 or 5 municipalities in Alberta where the only reason why we're not as caught up there is because we don't have somebody hired and trained locally to do the tests in those particular municipalities. But I can assure you and people that watch you that we are in the process of looking for people to fill in those gaps. But over the vast majority of Alberta, it's much, much better. And I know that because I used to get hundreds of emails and letters every single week complaining that people couldn't get a driver's license. And now I get one every couple months. So that tells me it's a lot better than it used to be.
No, I 100% agree. Like for class 4, 5, and 6 has really changed the dynamics, and people are able to get the license quicker than what was the wait time before. And, I really like and would like to say thank you on behalf of the whole trucking community, like what you are doing or the initiatives you have brought about the class 1 license. And you have given about a $1 million, allocated $1 million for the new drivers, for specifically to class 1. You want to elaborate a little bit more how they can apply and what's the process?
Yes, it's the Driving Back to Work program, and people that are interested can go on the Alberta Transportation website and look for that. A Class 1 license training can cost as much as $10,000. So last year, we actually offered funding for 300 drivers to go through and get their Class 1, and that was fully subscribed. It was fully subscribed quite quickly. So this year, we've actually put in our budget funding for 500. So first, right now, we are going through the applications that came in after the program was full last year and approving whichever ones we can there. And then by sometime this summer, we will open up the rest of the 500 spots and fill them with Albertans that want to be Class 1 drivers. So I would say to anybody that's listening here, don't wait. Get online, get your name and your application in now, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's oversubscribed this year too. So it's a good program. It's popular. We need the truck drivers in Alberta. So yeah, anybody that's listening to us, they should go onto the website today if they can, or tomorrow, to make sure that they don't miss out. And I'm not saying we won't add more spots in the future, but we've committed to 500 this year, and the 500 we'll have. But even if after that's done, we'll also have the Canada Alberta Jobs Grant, which interestingly enough is something that started 4 or 5 years ago when I was the labor minister and Jason Kenney was the federal labor minister. And we announced it together back then. But now, and it wasn't as good for truck drivers, but we've talked to the federal government and they've allowed more flexibility. So for now, at least, it can be used for Class 1 driver's licenses too, to make the cost less expensive. It's called the Canada Alberta Job Grant. And again, they can find that on the Government of Alberta website, or call Alberta Transportation. We'll help them find it.
Thank you. So, Rick, is any pre-qualifications they needed to apply for this grant, or?
If there is, I don't have them memorized. Okay,
No,
so we'll help people walk through the process, and if they can't apply, I apologize, but the program has also been pretty popular with people, so I would at least take a look at it if people listening to us are interested in that.
so Rick, now we are talking about the truck drivers and the Class 1 license, provincial and federal. Um, so when I was reading it and being part of the safety community too, it's changing now from June or July. So they will not be able to use the paper logs. It has to be the ELD, but it's still no proper program, or it has been told this is authenticated, this is approved, which ELD system, which the company they should be buying, which one they should be investing. Any update on that you have?
Excuse me. Yes, you're very up to date on your question, I have to say. The federal government has said by this June, and it's not all truck drivers, it's federally licensed truck drivers. Okay, not drivers under provincial licensing are not required to use electronic logging devices at this time. But the federally licensed trucking companies and truck drivers are. Now, here's the problem. The federal government has said this has to happen in June, but they've only appointed one company to decide whether whether you have proper electronic logging devices, and they haven't approved any equipment at all. So I have, along with my colleagues, my fellow provincial transportation ministers across Canada, have pointed this out to the federal Minister of Transport, Minister Mclver, and he knows. So he has said, now we asked, and I would have preferred that they delay it a year because the federal government is not ready. All they've committed to so far is to say we won't write any tickets or we won't hold anybody responsible for another year. Now, it's not as good. I guess that's helpful, but it's not as helpful as just saying you've got another year to do it. So unfortunately, truck drivers that need to have their electronic logging device federally and don't want to spend enough money on something that the federal government may not approve as legitimate equipment in their trucks kind of has to wait now and hope that the federal government keeps their word to not write any tickets or give any fines. It's better than nothing, but not near as good as what I asked for and what other provincial transportation ministers asked for, is to just push the whole thing off a year. The federal government wouldn't do that. So anybody has problems with that, they should get a hold of us, and we will. I mean, we can't tell the federal government what to do, but we can certainly have conversations with them and ask them to be reasonable with people.
Rick, the other question I have, I'm very fond, or I think I'm a person who always talk about the safety, but not safety which is governed by policy papers, procedures, or papers. I'm more a person personally is behavior safety, right? Because policies and procedures does not change how you act or how you interact or how you behave. So when we are talking about the behavior-based safety as a municipal minister and having a vast knowledge about the transportation too, is any program or initiative you are doing to keep the roads safe from the impaired driving, impaired also including the fatigue too and the mental health? So is any program initiative you are taking?
Yes, and thank you for raising that, because here's the thing. We have the new MELT driver licensing system in place that we touched upon earlier in the conversation. And it's a higher test, but let's face it, Sonny, if someone's texting, the best truck in the world and the best training in the world aren't going to stop them from going through a stop sign. And that's whether they're in a car or a truck, right? And that's what you say about behavior. But specifically on impaired driving, we've just adopted a system like they've used for a while successfully in British Columbia and Manitoba. And here's the thing about it. We've taken the impaired driving offenses, that it's still a criminal offense, but people that get pulled over for impaired that haven't been in a crash, haven't hurt somebody or killed somebody, could end up not getting criminal charges and going through the provincial system of penalties. So some of your listeners might say, well, you're taking it easy on impaired drivers if you're not putting them through the criminal system. But here's the thing, it doesn't work like that. I'll tell you why. Because Sonny, if you or I or anybody else was got an impaired charge under the criminal system, if we could afford a good enough lawyer, sometimes we could delay the results of that for a year or two before it even got to court. Where with the provincial sanctions, if any of us get an impaired charge, we don't go home that day with our driver's license, and we don't go home that day with our car.
I agree.
So that has turned out, and listen, I didn't believe that Mothers Against Drunk Driving would support this, but I called them and asked them, and they said 100%. They said, it sounds like it's easier on impaired drivers, but it's not. And the experience in British Columbia and Manitoba has proven that, where impaired driving offenses went way down with this. So we have adopted it, and right now, impaired. For all your listeners, if you get caught impaired driving, what I can tell you is you will not be going home with your driver's license, and you will not be going home with your car. The very immediate consequences to your actions. So that's just another. Not that we should need a reminder, but it's just another reason why we should just not get behind the wheel if we're impaired. And if you think you've had one, if you were wondering if you've had one too many, the fact that you're wondering should tell you all you need to know. Just don't do it.
And I really appreciate, but I will say to all the listeners too, not only the impaired, if you're fatigued or you are not mentally capable or you think you have been affected, do not drive, because we don't want to put anyone on the roads in a compromised situation. I hope you agree with me, sir.
Sonny, 100%. And I want you to know that one of the other projects that we are working on right now is to add more roadside rest areas. There are some around Alberta, and they're good, but we need to have more, and they need to be better. So we're working right now with a number of municipalities to look for ways to get additional roadside stops, so people can get off the road when they're tired and have a safe place to park their vehicle and get some rest, get some sleep, maybe get a meal if that'll help them stay awake, whatever it happens to be. So you are so right that if you're really tired, that is another way of being impaired when you're driving, and just don't do it. It makes the roads dangerous.
And Ric, on continuation on that, all the truck drivers, they are self-employed, or they're small businesses, or even the trucking companies, they could be from 5 trucks to 100 trucks. And Alberta government is doing quite a lot to support the small businesses, self-employed people. Do you have any plans or any way to support the trucking industry in that way, especially in pandemic time?
Well, we are trying. We've had the small business support program. It's gone through 3 steps, and through Minister Schweitzer's ministry, we just announced the 3rd phase of the small business supports, where the businesses that have lost 30% or more of their revenue can get $10,000 to help them get by until business picks up, and that's after the earlier amounts of money. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to make Alberta a competitive place. We've got the lowest corporate tax rate in Canada. We have allowed people to put off their payment of workers' compensation payments and other things. It's a big problem right now with COVID, but we have done a lot. But I would say if people listening have ideas on other things that we need to do better or differently, they should let us know. But I have to say Alberta has amongst Canadian provinces been more active and had more programs to help small businesses than anybody else.
Thank you, Ric. And I know in the past and currently too, Ministry is working very closely with AMTA, Alberta Motor Transport Association. Could you give me updates? What's your future look like, and how we are supporting each other?
Well, Alberta Motor Transport Association, to me, is a terrific partner for the Alberta Transportation and Alberta government. And we stay in touch with them on a regular basis. And they are a real good way for us to know what the trucking industry needs. For example, they let us know when COVID started that the bathrooms at the rest stops at the side of the road were not being cleaned often enough. The garbage cans were overflowing. People were stealing the hand unbelievably. They were stealing toilet paper and the hand sanitizer out of the toilets. So we made a bigger effort to get them cleaned every day or several times a day in some of the busier ones. And also when they let us know that with the restaurant shutdowns earlier, that truck drivers going a long distance couldn't get any food because you couldn't go inside a restaurant and you can't take an 18-wheeler through a drive-through, right? So Wendy's, McDonald's, A&W, some of the many of the other, and many independent restaurants in municipalities around Alberta made it clear that they would open up for truck drivers, let them in to use the bathroom, which is pretty important, and let them get food. So through AMTA, they put together a map or a list of restaurants where truck drivers could stop and use a bathroom and get some food and that kind of stuff. So in that way, in so many more ways, they're very good partners for us. We're working with them on some of our efforts to try to make entry or melt training more affordable. I don't know whether we're going to get there or not, but AMTA has thoughts about creating a truck driver training place, big parking lot, if you will, where people learn how to drive big trucks, would be able to practice backing in and all that other kind of stuff. And I don't know whether we're going to get there, but we are working with them to see if we can cooperate and partner with them on that. And they're just a great voice for the industry. So when we think the industry needs to pick up its socks on some form of maintenance or something that go, after experience through the inspection stations, we tell AMTA and they get the message out to the trucking companies. And when they think that the government needs to do something more or less or better or different, they tell us and we try to put that into place. So really, the Alberta Motor Transport Association for me has been a terrific partner for the government of Alberta. And we're very grateful to them for that partnership, and we hope we have many more years working with them because we think together we can make the roads safer.
I 100% agree, sir. Everything with the teamwork can be achieved. So you're watching Hunny Walia show. We have Minister Mclver with us, who is a municipal affairs minister, but he was a transportation minister too. He has a vast knowledge. I encourage everyone, especially the trucking industry or the people involved in the trucking or transportation. If you have any question, please feel free to contact the ministry, or you can contact us. We will pass your message to the ministry and we'll get you the right answers, what you are looking. Sir, before we leave, do you have any message for our viewers?
Well, Sonny, it's been a tough year with COVID and everything. And I would say to your viewers, thank you. Because even though we're going through maybe the toughest time now, the fact that we have a chance to get out of this is because Albertans have cooperated, mostly, not everybody, but mostly. Wearing a mask, keeping 2 meters apart, sanitizing their hands, not gathering in large groups in people's homes. And that's what's going to allow us to get our lives back to normal. And please, I would say to your viewers, when you get a chance to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. That's the only way I think we're going to get our full freedom back to go where we want, when we want, without risking each other's lives. So I would say, listen to the Chief Medical Officer of Health. We're all tired of the rules. I'm tired of the rules. I'm guessing you're probably tired of the rules, Sonny. But follow the rules, get vaccinated, and that'll get us back to normal. And thank you to everybody for the effort so far. That's what's going to give us a chance to get there.
Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate taking your time and talking to our viewers and providing us information or updates on the transportation industry, specifically the trucking industry. Once again, thanks a lot to you, the whole caucus, your team. You are watching Hunny Walia shows. We had Minister Rick with us. He has provided us information on the trucking industry, transportation. Before we leave, I would like to wish on behalf of Hunny Walia, everyone, all the viewers, happy Ramadan, happy Navratras. Till we meet again, I'm your host taking your leave. Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, adab. Khuda Hafiz. Good day. Jai Mata Ki, Jai Shri Krishna.